Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. We're holding in Zevachim Daf Lametes. And we're going to be starting back. I want to go backwards to where we started yesterday because there's Mamash in the middle, and also I said something wrong. What I said was the name of Rashi. That's what Tesis explains the Gemara. So let's go back to that and learn in both Rashi and Tesis the way the Gemara says it. So we're holding Yechezkel Amud Beis. The Gemara says, Omar Apapa Mino Aminullah. What Apapa is coming to tell you is we learned that you have 3 zrikas that you do in Chatas. 3 quarters, you have to have four quarters. But only one of them is makir. You did 1, and the other 3 you didn't do, you're fine. So it says, Papa, I'm going to kibus. What is kibus? If blood of zrika spilled on a clothing of the kohen, it needs to go to the mikvah. If it's not zrika, if any other dirt went on the clothing of the kohen, doesn't need mikvah. You just put it in the washing machine.
Which means the mikvah to do what?
Tahara. Especially that tahara.
And that completes. Without that.
That you can't use the bucket.
Did the Gemara say earlier a while ago about the blood? Not all the blood makes the begadim. Depends where the blood is. If it comes from the damachai, if it comes from the keli, if it comes.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. So we're talking over here kibus. So it says your Papa, you should know that if you did 1 zrika, and then you have the other 3 zikas, and before you did the other 3 zikas, the blood spilled on the baguette, it makes it ton kibus. Kibus means it's to go to the mikvah. How do you know that? So it says Papa, nitas minat sover ala baguette. If the blood spilled from the neck of the animal on the baguette, einoi ton kibus. If it's from the neck, there's no kibus. Karen means once already the blood hit, the horn stands now. Once the blood hit the horn, or once the blood hit the yesod, the bottom, and then it hit the baguette, ain't a toy kibus. After it hit, there's no kibus anymore. Ha mina royal karen ton kibus. Mashma, if it didn't hit the karen yet, it's still in the kli, and then it's spilled on a baguette of a kohen, it's still kibus, even if you already did 1 zrika. That's the mashmos. Only once it hit the karen, ain't no to kibus. But before it, the karen does the kibus. So the you see from here that any blood in the kli is to kibus, even if you did 1 zrika. So 1 second. Well, the taimech minay soid ain't no to kibus. Masha mina royli so to kibus. So say the same diuk. It says once the blood reached the yesod, the base, no kibus. Mashma, before it reached the base, don't kibus. It means blood which is about to be spilled in the yesod can cause kibus. How could that be? It says we learn clearly the blood that was already thrown on the top of his back, and you have only leftovers, doesn't cause kibus. According to your diuk, mina yesod, you want to say a diuk, mina karen means a royal karen is doing kibus. That can be, says the Gemara. Now we shift between Rashi and Tesis. Let's go with Rashi. Let's go with Rashi first. It says Rashi, according to Rashi, Ella, the word Ella here is missing. It's one of the questions Tesis asks in Rashi. He should have said the word Ella. But what is we're saying? You have to say it's a Nechemia. You have to say it's a Nechemia. And immediately you have no right to you. You want to say that something which hit the yesod doesn't need kibus, but before the yesod doesn't need kibus, this price is Reb Nechemia. Don't bring a right Reb Nechemia to Rabbanan. Why Reb Nechemia? Reb Nechemia said, if you took the shirayim and you did it outside of Beis Hamikdash, you're chayav. Even the shards of Nechemia linyan ha'alo. That's what do you see? So Reb Nechemia is the one who says that shirayim you're chayav. So you see it's a shittas yachid. Don't bring a right from there. Says the Gemara, okay, you said outside you have a problem with shirayim. So you want to say that's what Nechemia, that he has a special shito, that outside you have a problem of doing shirayim. Or you learn from here that outside that you also have a problem with kibus. Who said maybe our law is a problem the same way what you have by avorim b'dorim. When you take the limbs and the fat and you put it outside, is one chayav? Yes. You're chayav for any piece of the animal goes outside. Chayav. But does it cause kibus? No. So maybe the blood is the same thing. They had kibbutz mishamislei. Sigmu'in. Yes, even they had kibbutz shamislei. The word of Lamatesim Dalet V'Tanyo. Dom Tunim Yesoid. The ones need to go on the Yesoid. Tunim kibbutz. Umachshava moelas behem. And you can have a me'ilah, which is referring to pigul. And outside is chayav. That's what goes on the Yesoid. That's the shirah. Dom nishpachim la'amo. What's that? When you have down puzzle, what do you do with it? You throw it into the drainage of Beis Hamikdash. Ain't to the kibbutz. If it goes in a bag, it doesn't cause kibbutz. You can't do pigul with it. So you see you differentiate over here, and you're saying that Yesoid does have kibbutz and does have malim and mechutz chayav. Says the one, who's the one that says you do it outside your chayav? We said before. The comment told kibbutz. Told kibbutz. Point. So you're saying, whoa, where do we find according to Nehemiah that you need kibbutz for shirai? You find you can't do it outside. But where do you find out kibbutz? It says you can't do it outside, and you can't, and it does kibbutz. Now, before we go on, so we learn now like Rashi. So according to Rashi, the Gemara said, let me bring a raya to Rav Papa said, I want to bring a raya because it says blood on the carrion doesn't do kibbutz. Masha about to go on the carrion doesn't need kibbutz. It says, well, 1 second, what are you going to do with Yesoid? Elamite says in Nehemiah, so you have no raya. According to Tosfos, that's what we said yesterday. Gemara says, no, this is of Nehemiah. You're asking me, by Yesoid, how can it be that before it goes in the Yesoid, it causes kibbutz? Jesus of Nehemiah. But we still have a raya from the carrion, because the carrion there's no machlokes. No machlokes by Yesoid. You're asking me, according to you, why by Yesoid? You're saying that there's a diuk. Once it hit the carrion, there's no kibbutz. Not before it hits the carrion, there's kibbutz. So I can explain the sefer that says once it hits the Yesoid, there's no kibbutz. Not before there is kibbutz. Before there is kibbutz, yes, it changes on the carrion. Before there is kibbutz. So I still have a raya. So the machlokes Rashi is when the Gemara comes and says of Nehemiah, is it part of the question? That's of Nehemiah, so don't make a raya from here. Or that's already an answer. This is according to Nehemiah. You may have a raya. That's a machlokes Rashi. Says the Gemara, 1 second, you want to tell me you can do pigul and shirayim? It says in the Brayso, Yotzu shirayim v'aktoras imurim she'im ha'akvim kapara she'im machsham me'ez b'hem. We say clearly that there is no pigul by shirayim. When it says that you have a pigul, is we talk about the 3 matos v'chatos. Meaning when it says Dom Yotun Yesoid, not referring to Shirai, referring to the 3 matash v'chatos we just spoke of before. After you do 1 zriko, what happens to the other 3? The other 3, you still have pigul. That's what we're talking about. Yachi Tunim Yesoid, the Karen Nazar. Why does it say it goes to Yesoid? If you're talking about the other 3, they go to the Karen. Eman Nit'anim Yesoid. How do they go to the Yesoid? They go to the horns. But what will happen after they go to the horns? They will get to the Yesoid. So they will eventually reach the Yesoid. Says the one Machshol Me'ez B'hem, you want to say there's pigul? We just saw before in a previous Amud. That's one of the things that Papa told us, that the 3 other matanos, because they're now required, so there's no pigul. Then Rappa brought a whole list. Things that are a problem by the 3 matanos, and things that are not a problem with the 3 matanos. The way the Minchas Avram defined it is like this. Whatever makes it into a zrika, is the 3 matanos has to do it. You can't do it with a zar, you can't do it with your left hand, you can't do it outside, because that's how it defines zrika. But whatever has to do with kapara, they don't do kapara. So there's no me'ilah, and there's no, you can do it achamisa, because it doesn't do kapara. Says the Gemara, so that's one quoting we said before. Hamad lo shai doesn't do eter. Filo mefaga doesn't do pigul. Filo ayel gavoy kesayfon like shirayim doesn't cause all these things. So why are you saying here this pigul? And the kitanya yi bedom yaprimim. So it says over here that you have pigul, not talking about chatos, talking about the bloods that are done inside. Chatos aprimis. Says the Gemara, if so, bedom yechitzoyni mai potter. Elamai, you want to be died from here, the outside one's not. But just by the way, we said Dom Premium, we're talking about Shirayin, and we hold it's Me'akiv, as we saw earlier. So we talk about Shirayin, and Shirayin is Me'akiv by Premium. So the Brisa says, Shirayin is Me'akiv, there's Me'ila, you can't do it outside, there's Kibbutz. Talk about Shirayin, Dom Premium. But remember, how did the Brisa start? The Brisa beginning of the Hod. Brisa said, if it's Shirayin, it goes Le'Yisoid, so then there you have all these things. If it goes Le'ama, meaning thrown away, you don't have these things. If you talk about Primi, so why don't I just differentiate between Primi and Chitzon? That's what I was asking. Kedani b'dom Primi. Adom Chitzon in my potter. Adetani dom nishpochim la'amo. You want to jump to the ones that go or thrown away. Liflut b'litni medido. Speak about this chatoras itself. You say there's a difference between dom Primi and dom Chitzon if you have din of a pigul. So the Gemara, Mani Rabbi Yechezkel, he the Omar Shiyori Adam Shikru Mechutz Chayov for limiting it Lada Paturin Lebat Lada Chiyuv. We're going back to Rabbi Yechezkel. Rabbi Yechezkel holds that Shirayim Yechayev outside. Hi, so there's no pigul. So more exactly. I wanted to tell you in the beginning, how did the Amud start? Whoever goes to the side, you have three things. There's pigul, Yechayev Mechutz, and kibbutz. Now, what is the opposite? What's the opposite? The ones that are thrown away to the Amud don't have these three things. There's no kibbutz, there's no pigul, you're not chayav outside. What about the ones that don't have chitzonim? What happens there? So, according to Nehemiah, there's no pigul, there's no kibbutz, but there is, you are chayav outside.
Didn't we want to say in Nehemiah, originally more wanted to say, we wanted to learn the price of
that there is kibbutz.
That there is kibbutz.
There's no that's the tchiyah of the Gemara.
So is it, I'm saying
we're still in that tchiyah. Well, no, let's say Nehemiah holds no kibbutz.
once we more proved that Nehemiah can hold the kibbutz, so it's never.
We didn't prove it. We just said, well, you want to bring a raya that Nehemiah holds kibbutz? No, he never holds kibbutz. We wanted to bring a raya. We said, who said that you have to have kibbutz?
We didn't know what he said. Now the Gemara seems to be saying it.
Meaning, bring a raya. The Gemara is doing an assumption. The Gemara, Papa said, kibbutz, very good. Who's kibbutz? Nehemiah. Nehemiah? He requires kibbutz? Yeah, we found it. We know you didn't find it. It's talking about Doim Primim. Doim Primim, so why that? I don't think of Doim Chitzayim. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. I want to give you 3 against 3. I want to say there's something that has all 3, and there's something that doesn't have all 3. So that's why I wanted to speak of Doim Chitzayim. Primim, Keneged Am. If I would speak about Chitzayim Primim, I want to be 3 against 3, because one of the 3 does apply Doim Primim, Doim Chitzayim, according to Nehemiah. So that's why I didn't say it. So the Gemara stays with that assumption that it cannot prove that Rabbi Nehemiah holds that he is kibbutz. So he made what? So here goes the difference with Rashi Taisis. According to Rashi, so the Gemara said, the Gemara says, Rapapa wants to be a raya. So the Gemara, no, how can it be a raya? That's Rabbi Nehemiah. So well, that's not Rabbi Nehemiah. Because Rabbi Nehemiah doesn't hold kibbutz. So it's not Rabbi Nehemiah. Do you want to say that? It's not Rabbi Nehemiah. So we had a question, what about the aside? But the Gemara, it's not Rabbi Nehemiah. It's a good question. We'll see soon an answer. According to Taisus, the Gemara wanted to answer that's Nehemiah. So well, you can't say it's Nehemiah. So to explain the Bryce in this way, the way you want to explain, the diuk is not right. Your diuk to say whatever fell in the Karen is not kibbutz, but before the Karen there's kibbutz, there's no diuk such a thing because you see it doesn't make any sense. Says the Gemara, Ravina Omar, Mina Karen, Mamesh, Mina Yisoyin, Mina Rural Yisoyin. Really goes back to that question. It says like this. It says there in the Bryce, don't mean to reach the Karen, they don't cause kibbutz. Mashma, if they didn't reach the Karen, there is kibbutz. That's the Rav Rapapa. Hi, so I can explain the next part that says Yisoid. It says only when you reach the Yisoid. No, there it means not when you reach the Yisoid. Even before you reach the Yisoid, it also is not causing kibbutz. It's been a royal Yisoid. Usually the Brisa is written in the same way. So by Karen, it doesn't mean, it means we actually reach the Karen, according to your understanding. And by Yisoid, it means Roy. Maybe they're both Roy. It's like Mahaimai. Hashto Roy LeKaren Omat Loi Roy LeSoynebai. So what's the Chiddush? If you want to read it the way you want to read it, so what? There's no Chiddush. And now the word really answers the whole question. It says like this. What does the Bible tell me? Karen doesn't cause kibbutz. Now, what do you want to tell me? Royal Karen is what? Needs kibbutz, doesn't need kibbutz. Needs kibbutz. So, no, if you wanted something that doesn't need kibbutz, so of course Yisoid, whatever it needs to go to Yisoid, which means already Shirai, this week was already done, of course it doesn't need kibbutz. So I have to tell me it. The Brisa told me, Mina Karen, don't kibbutz. Mina Yisoid, don't kibbutz. And so, Mina Karen, don't kibbutz, Yisoid, don't kibbutz. You have to tell me that. The Karen is not to kibbutz, of course Yisoid not to kibbutz. Royal Karen, it doesn't need kibbutz, of course Yisoid doesn't need kibbutz. The fact that the Brisa tells you both, it tells you there's a difference between the two. Karen needs kibbutz before he gets the Karen. You saw it not. That's why I tell you both. I tell you there's a difference. The fact I'm telling you both tells you there's a difference. And that's the maskana. Anything that goes to the Yisai, there's no kibbutz before. Anything that goes to the Karen, there's a kibbutz until it reaches the Karen. That's the Raya Papa, that the three Zrikois do require kibbutz. That's the Mahalach of the Gemara. The same. Says the Gemara now. Whatever goes in Mizbeach Pimi, you need everything. So now the Gemara is going to bring a brisa, and this brisa will be discussed line by line in the next daf. But now the Gemara starts with the following. It says also kasher also. What we're talking about is Rashi points out, we're talking about par hilim dover shel tzibur, and it says over there also kasher also. Also la par kasher also la par chatos. Ken yasaloi. So the Torah is going to tell you it's me'akev. What's the chiddush is me'akev? If you look at Rashi, just see quickly, the Rashi, which is the fifth wide line in the Rashi in the bottom. It says whatever you have to do. It says it again. You don't have to tell me this. You already mentioned everything. You already mentioned what you have to do. The only thing that was not mentioned in that parsha is your seres hakov l'shtei hakloyos, which is different parts of the animal. That's the one thing you have to learn from another parsha. You don't want to bring this again. This parsha can't be talking about that because it's kapara. These imur is not ma'akiv. Ela kulo l'drasha. It's all a drasha. V'saseu. Saseu means you change the order. You do this like you did another one. I don't have to learn from anything else. When it says you do a zor b'payil davar, I'm doubling up to tell you it's ma'akiv. Me, I'm telling you, until it's back. Now explains the Gemara. So here's the price. Telling you again to do azor. You're missing anything? By power and dosh tzibur, you didn't do anything. That's Matan Sheva. Matan Sheva means, what do you do, 7? 7 hazois on the parachis, or that you do in the Mikdash. Matan Dal Minayin. What about the 4 that you do in the corners of the Mizbech? Rashi points out, the one's going to ask us, we already said, whatever is mentioned, I'm doubling. So why should I differentiate between the 7 and the 4? Okay? If it says Ken Yasa again, to tell you double. Lepar. Now it says, also lapar, kasher also lapar. So what's the part teach you? It's the par Yom Kippur. The par Yom Kippur also needs to be done that way. Continues the Gemara that Lamatesa with base. Kasher also lapar. What is it going to teach you? It's the par Kohen Mashiach. Remember, Maseches Horvius, we learned, when a Kohen Mashiach does a Harira, so then he has another Par Kohen Mashiach is also has to bring up par. Hachatos, that's another word in the pasuk. Elu sirei avodas kachavim that you bring when the tzibur made a mistake by the zar. Echol shalim arbav sirei regalim v'sirei rosh chodashim. Could it be I'm going to say also sirei regalim rosh chodashim? That maybe also that will be there. Rashi says will be sirei chodashim liyos pnimim v'nisrofim. Maybe sirei regalim sirei chodashim won't be external seirim. It will be internal, it will be chatas aprimius. And what will you do with it? You will burn it. Maybe that's what's going to be. Talmud loy mar loy. It says loy, it's a mute. Umar reis the rabbis says elo to say, how do you know to be marbe Yom Kippurim and Parakar Mashiach and to take the Seir Rosh Chodesh and Seir Golim? Chal shriba kosu miyat to add to distract. My bet elu shemechaber laveres mitzvah yaduo. I think these ones are coming to mechaber. It's something that I know. Parallel shetzibu, they made a mistake. They passed it wrong. Parakar Mashiach, they made a mistake. Meaning, Rosh Chodesh, what does it come for? If you remember Maseches Shavuos, it comes for Ein Lo Yediah Lo B'Tchila V'Lo B'Soif. What do you mean? If he doesn't have B'Tchila V'Soif, he doesn't know he did an Aveira. So it's not coming for a very Yedua. He doesn't know about the Aveira. Here, by the way, if Kivega brings a rab from here, you have to bring Kapara, meaning something you don't know. Then Misasik, here's the Raya, because we have a Kapara on Mitzvah Sheinu Yedua. But I'm not. If I have to choose which ones will require to do it exactly, or to be in this way, that's only the ones you do. Now, today's asking a very interesting thing. If you remember the middle of the Torah, what is the two middle words of the Torah? Darash Darash Moshe. What's going on over there? Moshe Rabbeinu is coming to Aaron HaKohen and says, "What happened to the Seir Rosh Chodesh? Why did you burn it? Why didn't you eat it?" So we already mentioned a little bit in the beginning of the Masechta. The one's going to go back to it later. That's a whole discussion. The many things you learn from there. Aaron HaKohen told him, "No, I was an Oini." That's why you have to burn it. It says Taisa, what is happening in the Gemara right now? The Seir Rosh Chodesh will be Seir Prima, needs to be burned. So it says Taisa. So what does Moshe Rabbeinu? The Seir Rosh Chodesh, very small Taisa. The Seir Rosh Chodesh. So it says. That's what Moshe is asking. Why did you eat it? You burned it. You have to eat it. That's exactly the title. Why don't I learn from this pasuk that it has you do have to burn it? So the more there's a mute. The more continue, the Brisa continues to dash the pasuk. Even without smicha, this kapar. No smicha, no shiraim. Why you decided to say that azos you must do, but smicha shiraim you don't? Azos usually are required. Usually are not required. So you may hear if I have to tell you which ones will add, which one will distract, whatever usually is not required, also is not required. What usually is required is, and that's the Brisa. And as we mentioned, the next daf, tomorrow's daf, we'll see how the word comes to dashins every line of this Brisa. We shall stop over here and continue tomorrow.